Hello.
Hey, good work.
Good work.
What's up, everybody?
Shua tov.
Hey, where are you?
I'm in a taxi heading for the airport.
Oh,
So,
okay.
yeah,
That makes sense. That's why it's so dark.
it doesn't make sense, but I'm doing it anyways.
Headed to Hong Kong again?
No, I'm going to Toronto.
Oh, say hi to my brother if you see him.
Your brother?
Huh?
Who's your brother?
My brother lives in Toronto.
Hello.
Name is
Mario.
also Zara.
Speaking of that, I was in Antwerp last Shabbos for the Bernfeld wedding. And we met Sky Friedberg, who was partners. Well, how did it work? He was partner with Peretz and with Benno.
Okay, so my father was Beno's brother.
He was Benno's brother, right?
Yeah.
So
You
you
met,
know,
which Friedberg did you meet?
the guys in foreign exchange. So,
Oh, yeah. Well, the original is Kopi. I think the son is now there, or grandson maybe. What's the name of the one person, the Friedberg there now? The first name?
I don't know.
Ah, okay. Oh, so you met them. Interesting.
We met him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Shavuot tov.
So so one of the Friedbergs is in Toronto. The Friedberg is in Toronto.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I went to yeshiva with Dov.
What?
I went to yeshiva also.
You went to share with Dov in
Yeah,
Toronto?
Dov and Fritz.
Yeah, I remember. I was there too.
Yeah.
I don't remember you though.
So, what year were you
They
there?
didn't have a beard at that time.
I came in '64.
Oh, so I left in '65.
So that was 1 year, '64, though, where you were there. Interesting. Huh. Small world.
Yeah.
I,
So Fritz's grandson got married.
Fritz's grandson got married. Oh. Where is Fritz?
He's lives in Toronto.
He lives in Toronto, right? His brother
Yeah.
also. They moved from
Yeah,
Montreal.
his brother lives in Montreal still.
Yeah.
Okay, let me learn this.
Okay, I am Gimel 73. Yayin Nesech Osir. So Yayin Nesech is Osir. V'oiser b'kol shehu. If it's mixed with other wine, any amount will Osir the taruvas. And we detail. Yayin, so if Yayin Nesech mixes with Yayin of Heter, or Mayim, water that was used to worship Avodah Zara, that got mixed b'mayim of Heter, so any amount of the Isser Asters, B'kol Shehu, because it's min b'mino. And it's not only is Aser Ba'achila, but it's Aser Ba'na. That's the Chum of Avodah Zara. However, Yain b'mayim, if it's min b'sheino mino, for example, Yain Nesach mixes with water, or mayim that was used for Avodah Zara mixed with Yain, then it's benois and tam. Then if there's 60 times the amount of heter over the Yisr would be permitted. Zeh klal min b'mino is b'mashu. Something prohibited min b'mino will aser b'mashu. But that's only by Avodah Zara. V'shelo b'mino is b'nois and tam. If it's min b'eno mino, then it depends. If there's flavor given, if you can taste the Isser, then it's aser. If not, and Chazal learned that it's 60. If it's 60 times the amount of Isser, you won't be able to tell the flavor. Kiyasur Rav Dimi Amar Rav Yochanan, Ha-me'ara yain nesach mechavis labor. If you pour yain nesach from a barrel into a pit of wine, afilu kol hayom kulo, rishon batel. As each drop of the yain nesach gets poured into the big bore, As the yain goes in there, it's bottle. Now, that l'chora is a steer to our Mishnah, which said that if you add a dvar isser to a dvar heter, even b'mashu it's osir, right? So that's why the Gemara immediately brings our Mishnah Tanan yain nezach osir v'osir b'koshu. And aren't we talking in our Mishnah also about my lab the konafel isur l'gu hetera, that the isser is falling into heter? Yet it's osir b'mashu, and there's no bittul. So the Gemara says lo. Our Mishnah is talking about the konafel hetera l'gu isura, that the you have a big vat of isser, and the heter drops into there. Then we say the isser asur b'mashu. Even though over time, if you add enough tvar heter, there's going to be more volume of heter. Doesn't make a difference. That's the chumrah. So toshma. Yayin b'mayim. We said if it's min b'she'eno mino, for example, wine that goes into water, then it's asur b'noisen tam. If there's 60 times heter, it would be okay. If there's less, it's asur. And over there also, my lab, the konafel chamad yisrael l'mayid hetera. Are we talking as well there with yain of isser that's falling into water of heter, and yet it's not bottle, and we see there's isser b'mashu. Well, excuse me. It's osra b'noisen tam. So the Gemara says, "Lo the konafel chamad hetera l'mayid yisura." We're talking about permitted wine that falls into water that is prohibited. And as long as the water has a hashpa on the yayin, it's osir. Umidiresha b'mayadi surah. So if the resha is talking about prohibited water, seifa nami b'mayadi surah. Uktani seifa, mayim b'yayin, if water falls into yayin, b'noisen tam. What about this issue of bottle rishon rishon? Rav Dimi, kula masnisin is a ter lagoy surah. The whole Mishnah is talking about the permitted item falling into an isser item. V'reisha is the konafel chamra de ter lamaydi surah. The reisha is the case where permitted wine is falling into prohibited water. And the seifa is the konafel maya de ter l'chamadi surah. The seifa is talking about permitted water falling into prohibited wine. But kiyasra vizik b'yazram Rav Yechon hama'ara yain nesach. If you pour yain nesach mitzartzor cotton from a small jug into a bore, afilu kol hayom kulo, even if you're standing there all day doing it, rishon bottle, the yain nesach becomes bottle, but dafka tzartzor cotton, the lo navish amudei. It's not a very big flow. Aval chavis to navish amudei, he would disagree. Low. Kiyasar Rav Yochanan. Yain nesach shnafal labor. Yain nesach that fell into permitted wine. The nafal sham kiton shomayim, and like a kettle of water also fell into that bore. So we use a trick. Royin. It's as if the wine of heter is ke'ilo eno. Because normally we said yain b'yain is min b'mino, it's going to ask for mashu. So, but it's as if we ignore the yain that's there, and therefore the yain is going to be mixing with water. The ashar ma'im rabbim vatlan. So eventually, if you pour enough water, it won't be nice and tam of the yain nesach, it'll become permitted. Rav Shmuel bar Yehuda Amar Rav Yochanan lo shanu ela shenafel kitin shomayim tchila. That's only if the water fell in first, and then the yain nesach fell in there. Aval, if the yain nesach fell in first into the yain, then you can't use this principle of roin. Aval lo nafel sham kitin shomayim tchila motza minis mino. The yain nesach has found it's min, which is the permitted wine. Viniyun, and it becomes osir. However, some learn this dialogue on our Mishnah, where it says yain b'yayin kol shehu. When wine and wine, min b'mino, mixes, the Isra is with any amount. Amrav Shmuel bar Yudam Rav Yochanan lo yishanu el shaloi nafal sham kitin shalmayim. No water had fallen into that. Aval nafal sham kitin shalmayim. Roy and aheter kilo eno. We view that the permitted wine that's in the vat is as if it's not there. The prohibited yain nesach then is mixing only with the water. Vashar mayim rabim alav mevatel. Eventually, you add more and more water, and it'll be mevatel the taste of the yain nesach.
Ernie, didn't we learn before? I mean, we learned stuff before. When yain nesach touches anything, it becomes asur. I don't understand how this mixture works with the wine. I think we learned that before.
Well, min b'mino, it asers b'mashu, but min b'eno mino, it's only asers b'nois and tam. If you had 60 times as much heter over the Isser, it would not be prohibited. If you have less, then it would be prohibited.
That's also 60. Okay.
Ma ikka bein l'masilo masis and bein l'masilo bein le'ad rabin. What's the difference between those that learn this dialogue on the Mishnah versus the one with the way Ravin learned it? Man de masilo masnisan lo boy. We didn't need that the water be dumped in tchila. And any time if there's mayim there, we use the principle of royin. We ignore the yain of heter that's there, and it's as if the yain nesach fell into water. It's min b'sheno mino. We have the leniency of being able to be mevatel it b60. Umad de masla de rabin boy tchila. That means the first opinion is more lenient. Whether the water got thrown into there first, whether the water gets thrown in afterwards, according to the second version, according to the first version, we ignore the yain of heter that's there. According to the second version, the water has to fall in there first in order to use that leniency. Itma. Yain nezach shenafel labor. You have yain nezach that fell into a normal vat of wine that's kosher. V'nafel sham kitel shemayim. Water fell in there. Amar Chizkiya. Higdilu. The Isser. If the yain nesach fell last, then usr. Because we're going to say that the yain met up with the other yain, and it's b'mashu min b'mino, and the sheer mayim is not enough to mevatel it. But im higdilu beheter, if there was already a mixture of in the vat of yain nesach and mayim, and the taste of the yain nesach was nullified in the water, and then fell into yain shel heter, then it's mutter. But Rav Yochanan Amar, even igdilu be'isr mutter, even in the first case, where the wine and the water were not together at first, the wine fell at last, Rav Yochanan is matir. Armel Rav Yirmel Rav Zera. Lema Chizki Rav Yochanan beplukted Rav Elazar Rabbanan kamiflagi. Let us say that this machlokes with Chizki Rav Yochanan is the same machlokes as a machlokes Tanoi. This not. So or shel chulin v'shel truma. You have yeast of chulin and yeast of truma. Shenafel l'tocha isa fell into a dough. The dough is chulin. Lo bezeh kedei lachametz v'lo bezeh kedei lachametz. The yeast of truma by itself and the yeast of chulin by itself could not ferment, but v'nit starfu. But the combination of the two is enough. And then chimtzu, and the dough fermented. Rabbi Eliezer Omer, we look at what fell in last. If the truma fell in last, the thing is going to be viewed as truma. If the chulin fell in last, the fermentation was accomplished by the chulin. So if the truma fell in last, it would be aser. And if the chulin fell in last, it would be mutter. The chachamim oimim, Bein shenofel isur b'tchila bein b'sof eina osur ad shebo k'dei lahachmitz. The Chachamim said we don't care. If the isur, the truma never had the power by itself to be machmitz, it's not osur. So we want to say Chizkiah said like Rabbi Lazar that it's only when the yayin fell in last that it would be prohibited. Rav Yochanan, like the Chachamim were a matir. So the Gemara says, "V'tizbra, is that so?" Lamar Abaya, lo yishanu, this had to Rabbi Eliezer, right? Or this argument that Rabbi Eliezer was matir if the heter fell in last, that's only in a case shekodim the silik as a iser. You still have to remove the truma, the yeast of truma. Aval loikodim the silik as a iser aser. But if the truma remained, then it's going to be aser. Chizkiah de Amar Keman. So who's Chizkiah holding like? If he holds like the Chachamim, who are matir no matter what, because there's not enough yain nesach to give taste to aser it, so they're going to aser. And according to Rabbi Eliezer, even if the yain heter fell in last, it'll be a prohibited mixture because you didn't get removed. You lo kodam v'silik iser. So rather the machlokes is something else. Elahacha, this machlokes between Chizkiah and Rav Yochanan is something else. With this principle of royin kamiflugi, do we use this sort of theoretical thing of viewing one of the mixtures as if it's not there when you have a tarubis, right? And it fell min b'mino, but we want to say there's an eno mino there, there's water. So we're going to view the mino as if it's not there. L'chizkiah lesle roin. Chizkiah doesn't use this principle of roin. So he's not matir unless the wine was initially nullified in a mixture of water and we don't taste it, and then there's no isser. But Rav Yochanan is slay. But Rav Yochanan uses this principle of roin, and even when yain nesach falls in, it finds the water and not the yain. Frek the Gemara, umi islay Rav Yochanan roin. Does Rav Yochanan Bichlal hold of the principle of roin? We have a shaila that Rav Yochanan was asked by Ravasi. Shnei koisos, you have 2 cups of wine. Echad shel chulin ve'echad shel truma. One was chulin, one was truma. Umozgan, first you diluted the wine. Ve'irvin zebezeh, and you mix them up. And there's enough water to be mevatel the yain of truma. Mao. Do we say that the yain of chulin, which is min b'mino with yain of truma, do we view as if it's not there, and we only view the yain of truma mixing with water? And since there's enough water to mevatel the yain truma, or maybe we say, like we said, min b'mino is also b'mashu. So the yain truma sort of is catching the yain of chulin, and then you can't use the water to be mizbatel it. And the answer was v'lo poshatle. He didn't give us that answer. So he didn't have a clear answer regarding this issue of royin. So the Gemara answers me, ikor loy poshatle. In fact, in the beginning, he didn't give the answer. But lebasof, he investigated u poshatle. That we do say royin. We use the principle that we view the min b'mino, we view the min as if it's not there. And therefore you can use the heter of the min b'she'eno minyo. It marnami aravami Rav Yochanan. Varmi lam ravasi Rav Yochanan. Shtei koises echad shel chulin ve'echad shel truma. Umazgan v'irvin zebezeh. You diluted it and mixed it. Royin, as a heter kiloeno, we view the yain of heter as if it's not there. So there's no min b'mino. Ve'ashar ma'imrei b'lavim matlala. Then the yain of yain nezach is nullified by the mayin that nullifies its taste. So it's a clear shita of Rav Yochanan. Zeh klal. The Mishnah gave us a general principle. Min b'mino is asur b'mashu. Shelo b'mino, something that mixed not in this yain and water, it depends on the taste. Ravu Shmuel Damar Tavayu. Kol isrun shebetoira. B'minon b'mashu. Whenever there's 2 mixtures, if it's min b'mino, the taruvis is asur b'mashu. If it's min b'she'eno mino b'shelo minon b'noisen tam. If you can taste the tam of the Isser, it's Asr. And if not, meaning if it's 60 times heter greater than the Isser, it would be permitted. Now, the Zeh Klal Lasui Mai. What is the Zeh Klal coming to add? Lasui Kol Isser and Shabbatorah. That this Isser is not Dafka Bayayin Nesach, it's by all Isser. But Rav Yochanan Reish Lakish Damar Tarvayu, Kol Isser and Shabbatorah. Let's say you have nevela that falls into kosher meat, or milk that falls into meat. Any Yisron Shabbatorah. Bein b'minon, bein b'shalom minon, is b'noisen tam. It's not. There's no Isser b'mashu. The issue, whether it's min b'mino, whether it's min b'sheno mino, if you can taste the taste of the prohibited item, it'll be Osir. Chutz mitevel v'yayin nesech. There's a stringency. Produce that Trum and Meisters have not been taken, or yayin nesech. There, min b'mino is b'mashu, v'shelo b'mino b'noisen tam. Based on that, according to Rav Yochanan Reish Lakish, Zeh Klal lasui tevel. The Zeh Klal came to add tevel, which wasn't mentioned in the Mishnah. Only yayin nesech was mentioned. Tani kavos Rabbi Shmuel. Tani kavos Rav Yochanan Reish Lakish. There's a brayso like both. Tani kavos Rabbi Shmuel kol yisrin shbetor b'minon b'mashu shelo b'minon b'noisen tam. Tani kavos Rav Yochanan Reish Lakish kol yisrin shbetor bein b'minon bein shelo b'minon b'noisen tam. Chutz mitav v'yayin nesach sheb'minon b'mashu shelo b'minon b'noisen tam. So I understand b'shma yayin nesach b'shum chumra b'avodah zara. The yayin nesach is because of aser b'mashu because of the stringency of avodah zara. Ela tevel my taima. Why should tevel aser b'mashu? Because kehetero kach yisuro. The Omer Shmuel chita achas poteres sasakri. So we have shiurim by truma. Ayin Yafa is 1/40th. Ayin Beinanis is 1/50th. But if you have 1 billion bushels of wheat, even one kernel, if you give that mikmeh Torah, it patters tevel. So just like the ptur of tevel can be solved with a mashu, so even a mashu will aser a tarufas. V'tanya mahachi. That's if one species falls into the same species. But shelo b'mino oiser b'nasan tam. Of course, the Rambam and Shulchan Aruch Paskin call Yisurin Shabbat whether it's an Isser Lav, like Basar B'cholov or Chazir, Bein Yisuri Kares, like Chalev or Dam, Shenis Arva Michael Mutu that got mixed with a permitted item. Min B'Sheno Mino, if it's two different items, it's only prohibited if you taste the flavor. Min b'mino. Now, if you have milk and milk or wine and wine, well, they have the same taste. Kivin sheyev shalashar tamo shiur b'shishim. So then we can't taste the difference. If there's 60 times heter over prohibition, then it's permitted. For example, truma is an exception, whether it's 100 and kloim is 200. The only exception to this rule we just said is chutz miyayin nesach. That's osr b'mashu because of the chumra avodah zara, and except for tevel, because like we said, the Gemara says you can correct it with chita achas. There, it's osr even b'mashu. That's min b'mino, and min b'sheno mino is b'noisen tam. So the halacha is like Rav Yochanan against Rav and Shmuel. Okay, it's an important halacha. And we will continue. By the way, these blot are used in studying Isra v'Heter. It's not just Chulin. These blot are very fundamental in all the dinim of Isra v'Heter. Okay, okay.